So let's begin just by settling for a moment. Just take a deep breath and just close your eyes if it feels comfortable. And just feel your feet on the ground. Sense the contact of your feet with the floor. And by extension into the ground, into the earth. And take a deep breath and let yourself settle into the earth, into the holding, the support, the solidity of the earth. And then deeper than the earth, the ground of being, the ground of consciousness. That is the deeper ground, the deeper support for everything. Just feel the support extending into your feet. You may feel it like a liquid or a solidity. Sometimes people speak of a solid, silver, dense kind of a substance that is like sterling silver, very heavy and solid and concrete. And let it extend into your lower legs. And into your thighs and into your pelvis. And just let that presence, that solidity extend into your belly and into your stomach area, into your chest and shoulders. And again, if you want, take another deep breath and let it flow into your arms and hands. And as it flows into your arms and hands, it remains also in the rest of your body and legs and feet and pelvis. And let it extend also into your neck and head. And now turn your attention, if you would, to your breath. And just notice your breath going in and out. And perhaps even imagine it moving up your whole body as you inhale and flowing down your body as you exhale. Easily, effortlessly, if it wants. You don't have to make things happen. And you may notice your breath deepening, becoming more settled, more relaxed, more effortless, more natural. And let yourself enjoy following your breath for a couple of minutes. And I'll be quiet to let you focus on your breath more. And if your attention wanders away from your breath, just notice that you can come back to your breath very easily and stay with it gently and naturally. And now gently allow your attention to move, expand from your breath to your whole body. Take a deep breath and sense your body in your chair, in your couch, wherever you're sitting, cushion. Let your awareness expand into the room around you. And as you open your eyes, let your attention, awareness expand also into the Zoom room. That is an extension of where you are. So welcome again. A couple of you joined while I was talking you through the sequence. So for those of you who are not familiar with me, my name is Andreas Mouskos, and I'm a teacher of the Diamond Approach. So today I would like to focus on the correlation that I see between Rumi and Rumi's poetry and teachings and the Diamond Approach. So I would like to invite those of you who don't have your video on, if you would turn your video on. It's nice to, thank you. It's nice to talk to people rather than just images or names. Nice, thank you, thank you. Very nice. Appreciate that. I would like to begin actually with one of my favorite verses by Rumi that says, and actually I like it so much, those of you who have received emails from me see that I quote it under my signature on my email. It says, let yourself be silently drawn by the stronger pull of what you really love. Take a moment, just let that sit, let that absorb into your consciousness, into your heart, into your body. Let yourself be silently drawn and just feel that silent pull that is the stronger pull of what you really love. So it's not like a pull that is a command or a demand, but it is a love. Of is what you love, what you really love, naturally pulls us toward it, and that is the natural uh, thing that happens on the spiritual path. So this kind of pull is what I'm referring to when I say the soul's secret fire. We could also call it the flame. It is the fire of longing. It is the fire of love. It is the fire that moves us, pulls us toward the truth, even when we don't quite know what that truth is or where the path will lead. But we want to know the truth. We have a longing, we have a burning desire to know the truth. So this is common, actually, across spiritual traditions. This fire, this flame, is spoken of in many different ways. In Sufism, especially in Rumi's poetry, it is spoken of as love, a love so intense that it burns away everything else. It burns the ego, it burns the self. In the diamond approach, we might describe this same movement as the soul's innate drive toward its own nature or her own nature. Sometimes we refer to the soul as her. And this movement, this drive, is guided by an inner intelligence. And we actually have a name for this drive. We call it the enlightenment drive. It is the drive, the natural drive that exists in the soul towards realization of her true nature. What am I? Who am I? I'm sure all of you have felt that question at some point or another. Who am I really? Probably that's why you're here. So there are different languages, different forms in the different traditions, but pointing to the same mysterious force that draws us home. So the thing that I love most about Rumi is that he speaks from inside that fire. He doesn't speak about it. He speaks from inside it. So it's almost an embodied kind of a spontaneous outpouring of that very fire longing itself into poetry. And what he gives us is not doctrine, is not theology, is not dogma, but the direct voice of that burning heart, that longing heart. One of the most important things to understand about longing is that it is not simply about wanting something external. From the perspective of realization, from the perspective of inner work, from the spiritual perspective, longing that we feel is the soul remembering its own source, her own source. So it's like remembering where we came from, but not quite feeling there yet, creates the longing. So the longing is actually love and separation at the same time. And it contains a sadness in it because I'm sad that I'm not back home to my source. And that, I think, is a lot of what Rumi is expressing. Actually, in one of his great works, I think his greatest work, the Masnavi, Rumi begins actually with this image, the reed flute cut from the reed bed, singing from and about separation. So let me read you a few lines from that, the Masnavi. He says, listen to the reed, how it tells a tale, complaining of separations, saying, ever since I was cut from the reed bed, my lament has caused man and woman to moan. I want a breast torn open by severance, that I may unfold the pain of love desire. Everyone who is left far from his source or her source, wishes back the time when they were united with it. Such a deep, meaningful image, so evocative, huh? Isn't it? It speaks to the heart. It's not a mental kind of thing. It's not an intellectual, abstract kind of thing. You know, I want the breast torn open by severance, that I may unfold the pain of love desire. So the reed sings because it has been hollowed out. Its music comes from emptiness, from loss, from that openness, that longing. You know, in the diamond approach, we understand the soul, we experience the soul actually as a living, conscious field, a field of consciousness, a living, alive field that has become structured through experience, through defenses, through identity, the ego self. And yet, beneath all of that, underneath all the structure, there remains an intrinsic orientation towards the truth. Because it is what we inherently and intrinsically long for, the truth of what we really are. And when I say truth, I'm not talking about external kind of truths. You know, it's 10:25 in Colorado, you know, 12:25 in Boston, you know, 9:25 in California. Not that kind of truth, but the deeper truth of what we really are. So the soul is drawn toward being, the way a river is drawn towards the sea. It's like a gravitational pull. It's a natural pull. And that is what love is. Do you know what love is? It's like that song, I wanna know what love is. I want you to show me. So love is that unity that is fundamental at the core of our being. When that unity is felt at the level of duality, it is felt as that magnetic force wanting to return to the unity, and we experience it as love and longing. It's beautiful, isn't it? When you understand it from that place. And many times we project that onto the external environment, onto people, of course, and we feel love for people, which is great and wonderful. It's not bad. But it's important to remember that what we are really interested in, what we are really longing for, is the unity that no unity with any person or any object can replace. So this longing is not a pathology. You know, a few nights ago, I was watching. I do that from time to time. I go back to things I watched many years ago, and like series on TV, and I watch episodes. And I was watching Stargate SG-1. I don't know if some of you are familiar with that. You know, they found this Stargate and they travel through the Stargate and they go into a wormhole and they go to other worlds. And they went into this world and there was this boy that was feeling and his father, he was feeling something, and his father said, oh, he's sick, but it's temporary. And the people from Earth, they're looking at each other, he's in love. But in that culture, they were viewing falling in love as a sickness. So he says, so longing and love is not a pathology, here on Earth. It is not a deficiency. It is not something to cure. It is the soul sensing something real, something intimate, something true, something essential, and wanting to return to that. And often that longing is activated through loss, heartbreak, confusion, or dissatisfaction, emptiness. Not because something went wrong, but because the fire has begun its work. The flame has begun its work. So Rumi represents this fire in his poetry, expresses it. The diamond approach expresses this fire with precision. So Rumi speaks from the heart. The diamond approach combines the heart with the head and the belly and says, we will have the longing and the love with precise understanding, and that will allow us to embody it, to live it. So that's one of the unique contributions of the diamond approach, is that it doesn't leave us only with poetry and metaphor. It gives us a very precise understanding of what happens as this fire works the soul. Because that's what it's doing, really. It's working the soul. It's enlivening that original substance of the soul, and in that fire, the structure of the ego and the self that has structuralized the soul, the material of the soul, begins to melt and liberates the soul to be its fluid, free kind of state again. And then we can discover that the soul can manifest many, many different essential qualities: love, peace, strength, will, clarity, joy. But before these qualities can be lived freely, expressed, embodied, the fire must burn through the structures of the personality that are organized around control, protection, defensiveness, identity. And this burning away is not always pleasant. Because what burns is not just the suffering. What burns is also who we think we are. The false self that we have constructed. The part of us that was certainty, spiritual security, or specialness. That part of us does not welcome this fire. is afraid of it. But the soul, in its depth, loves the fire because the fire liberates her from what is not true, liberates the soul from the bondage of the ego self. And this is where Rumi is very uncompromising. He does not tell us to fix ourselves. He tells us to be willing to be undone, to dissolve, to melt away. And Rumi has a beautiful way of speaking about this breakdown, not as a failure, but as an invitation. You know, here is another poem that speaks directly to this process of the breaking down of the uh, false. He says, where there is ruin, there is hope for a treasure. Come, bring an ointment for the sore. Bring a lantern and search through the ruins. Wherever there is pain, that is where the remedy goes. Wherever there is poverty, that is where generosity goes. Wherever there is a difficult question, that is where the answer goes. Whoever is in despair, she is where hope is. This is a radical spiritual psychology. He's saying, don't look for truth in perfection. Look for it where things are breaking down. In the diamond approach, we might put it differently. Our deficiencies, our wounds, our unresolved patterns are not obstacles to realization. They are the very portals, the very gateways through which essential qualities can emerge. You know, we even call them holes. When we experience some of these difficulties, some of these wounds, they open up into a hole. A hole means a place where there is something missing. And if we go into that, it's like descending into the underworld. And through that descent, we discover the entry way into the secret passage, into what is missing, into the particular quality of our essential nature that our ego is missing. So the fire burns where there is something ready to be transformed. Hmm? This is very significant. The fire burns where there is something ready to be transformed. So rather than bypassing our pain, the diamond approach invites us to meet it with inquiry, with presence, with compassion, with love. And when we do, something astonishing often happens. The very place that felt like lack, like a deficiency, becomes fullness. The place that felt like weakness becomes strength. The place that felt like emptiness becomes a presence, a fullness. This is the alchemy of inquiry. The main practice of the diamond approach is inquiry. So this is not alchemy in the metaphorical sense. It is a real transformation in consciousness. So I'm not talking metaphorically here. Inquiry is an alchemical process of transformation, just like the alchemists of old transforming lead into gold. The lead of inertia, the heaviness, transforming into the gold of truth. So at this point, I would like to bring in something central to the diamond approach, which expresses this whole orientation with great clarity. It is a poem, actually. It is called The Prayer of the Flame. This is not a prayer to an external god or deity. It is the soul addressing truth itself. It is the flame declaring its intention. It says, I just want to go towards the truth, the reality of who I am, without having to know in my mind where I'm going. I do not care what others have said or experienced. I do not care what I have experienced in the past. I go to the truth with no preset mind. This is a radical statement. It renounces not only other people's opinions, but even our own spiritual history, what we have experienced in the past. It renounces dogma and beliefs. That's why I say this, I think, in every talk I give. I really don't want you to believe anything I tell you. Please don't. It's not about believing. It's about trying it out and finding out for yourself. That's the truth that you experience. Because the flame is not interested in repeating experiences. The flame is interested in reality now, here, now, where you are, where we are. In a way, this is the diamond approach version of Rumi's surrender, surrendering to the truth in the here and now. It says, I trust the intelligence of being more than I trust my concepts, without having to know in my mind where I'm going. I trust the unfolding more than I trust my plans. And when the soul really aligns with this orientation of the prayer of the flame, the diamond guidance, the inner guidance becomes very active. Life itself becomes the teacher. Not always comfortable, but always deeply intimate and meaningful. So as the fire continues its work, something very profound begins to happen. At first, the soul feels like a seeker, a lover searching for the beloved. But eventually, the boundary between the seeker and the sought begins to dissolve. And Rumi expresses this beautifully. Here is another poem. He says, "Why are you so busy with this, or good or bad? You are needed out of love. Love is your mother. When you return to the root of your own soul, to the root of your own soul, you will find a treasure greater than gold." So return to the root of your own soul. This is the moment of recognition. Not I'm trying to reach love, but I am made of love. I, not as a belief, a recognition of the truth, a realization. It becomes real. That's what realization means. In Diamond Approach language, this corresponds to non-dual realization, the recognition that essence, awareness, the soul are not separate. The fire does not disappear, but it changes its quality. It is no longer a painful longing. It becomes a steady, luminous devotion to reality itself that is a realized truth in your experience. And from that devotion arises compassion, humility, love, service, not as moral obligations, not as forced virtues, but as natural expressions of what you really are. So, what does it mean to live from this fire in everyday life? It does not mean we are always peaceful. It does not mean we stop having challenges. It means we are oriented towards truth rather than comfort, towards presence rather than certainty, towards intimacy with the truth rather than control. It means we trust our inquiry, our process. We listen deeply, inwardly. We allow our experience, even difficult experiences, to teach us. And when we feel lost or discouraged, we remember even this may be part of the burning, the dissolving of my structures that are not who I really am. Rumi offers this simple guidance in another verse. He says, try not to resist the changes that come your way. Instead, let life live through you. Let life live through you. That, I think, is the wisdom of the flame. Not resistance, not grasping, but openness to what is unfolding, openness to the present moment. And the diamond approach, in its own precise and compassionate way, is offering exactly this: a path of loving, courageous intimacy with our own experience, so that our soul's secret fire can reveal, expose what has always been here, the hidden treasure, the truth under the facade. I would like to invite you now to let's do an experiential exploration. Yeah, just a few minutes to sense into this fire directly as a living presence in your own heart. So I would invite you to just close your eyes and just sit back and just let your attention gently come inside. And feel the support of the chair under you, the ground beneath your feet, and allow your breath to be natural, not changed, not controlled. And just notice that you are here. And just allow your attention to come to the center of your chest. Not trying to do anything, just sensing. You may notice warmth or space or quiet, or perhaps nothing in particular. Whatever is here is perfectly fine. And now imagine or simply sense that deep within your heart there is a subtle spark. Not dramatic, not bright, just a quiet, living presence. That spark is not something you create. It has always been here. It is the part of you that longs for truth, that longs for realness, that longs to be what you truly are. And as you rest your attention here, you may notice that this spark has a kind of warmth, a gentle glow, a quiet vitality. You don't need to make it bigger. Just allow yourself to feel its presence. And now, very softly, let this spark begin to breathe, as if with each inhale it becomes a little more alive. And with each exhale it relaxes, spreading gently through the heart. Not burning, not consuming, but warming, illuminating, soft and steady. This is not a fire that destroys. It is a fire that reveals. And you may sense that this flame has an intelligence of its own. It knows how to move. It knows what it touches. It knows what is ready. You do not need to guide it. Just allow yourself to be aware of it, as if you're sitting beside a quiet candle in the dark, feeling its warmth, watching its steady light. And now, silently inside yourself, you might allow these words to resonate, not as something you force, but as something you feel. I just want to go towards the truth, the reality of who I am, without having to know in my mind where I am going. And notice how the flame responds, perhaps growing a little brighter, perhaps feeling more alive, perhaps simply resting more deeply. I do not care what others have said or experienced. I do not care what I have experienced in the past. Let the flame gently burn through the old stories, the old expressions, the old identities. Not aggressively, but effortlessly, like light dissolving shadows. And finally sense into this. I go to the truth with no preset mind. No agenda, no destination, just openness and trust and presence. And now allow that flame to spread softly beyond the heart, throughout the chest, the belly, your whole body. It's a quiet sense of aliveness, a gentle warmth of being. You may notice a feeling of steadiness or a tenderness, or simply a deep, quiet presence. And you can allow yourself to rest here for a few moments, being held by this inner flame, this inner devotion to the truth. Nothing to achieve, nothing to fix, just being and allowing. And when you're ready, you can begin to feel your body again, the room around you, your body, the sounds. And you can stay with your eyes closed if you want for another few minutes. I want to play a song for you. We can just sit here, huh? The silence. I would like to propose that we do an exercise. I'll tell you the way that we will do it. Julia, who is our host today, and also she's my co-teacher with another one, a third one, for the Diamond Heart 10 group here in Colorado that is still open and accepting new students, if any of you are interested. We will talk more about it at the end after the exercise and the Q&C. Anybody who is interested in finding more about that, we will talk a little bit about that, answer your questions. But anyway, Julia is our host today, and she will put you into breakout rooms in dyads, two people together, and you can do a repeating question. And the question is, what is it? Tell me a way you experience your longing for truth. Tell me a way you experience your longing for truth. And let me tell you how we do this, for those of you who may not know. So you sit there, and one of you use your smartphone, of course, to time it, and we will do that for 10 minutes each. So the whole exercise will be 20 minutes, and then we will take another 10 minutes for a break. So, and there, Julia has put the question in the chat. So basically, you start the timer, and one of you will ask the question. Tell me a way you experience your longing for truth. And the other one will answer, oh, I feel it like a burning in my heart. And the first one says, thank you. Tell me a way you experience your longing for truth. And the other one answers again. And so you continue like that, back and forth, without anything else, without any comments. So the one who's asking the question, You're just asking the question, letting the other person answer without interference, without comments or anything like that. And then you switch. At the end of the 10 minutes, you switch. And then the other one will answer the question. Okay? So we will do that for 10 minutes each. So that would be 20 minutes and then 10 minute. So we'll be back at 10-minute break. So that will be half hour, right? So we'll be back at 11:40